Hello, my sweethearts and my darlings. It sounds like my ring is going off a little bit here. Somebody must be at my door in Las Vegas. I'm kind of looking tan, aren't I? Did a little self-tan or maybe a little too much. I'm doing a photo shoot a little later with my horse, so I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about connecting with you today. So I want to talk to you about manifesting the life of your dreams, and in fact, beyond your wildest dreams. Sometimes people will say to me, Tammy, are you living the life of your dreams? And I'm like, no, I'm actually living the life that God dreamed for me. And let me tell you something, what God had in mind for me is so much different and so much better than what I had in my mind for myself. And I did dream big, but it seems in retrospect, I was dreaming in the wrong direction. So here's a quote from Joseph Campbell that I like a lot. We must let go of the life we have planned so we can have the one that is waiting for us. So I had to surrender the life of my dreams. I had to surrender and let go of what I thought I wanted. What I thought I wanted, I think, came more from my mind and my ego than from my heart or my soul. So I want to talk a little bit about what we can do to start moving in the direction of great joy, great prosperity, and great love. And it's something I like to call an ideal scene. So what we do with an ideal scene is I like to put a symbol in the middle of a piece of paper and then draw spokes off of that with details about what it is that I want. I did this with my husband. All the qualities and characteristics I wanted in my what I thought to be my ideal husband. And I got very specific. I got very creative. And then at the bottom of this, I wrote this or something better for the highest good of all concerned. So I really claimed what I wanted and then I let it go. And another way I think of saying for the highest good of all concerned is thy will be done. I also like to say may my will and thy will be one. And that kind of just supports me in relaxing and trusting the process. We get in trouble when we get attached. We get in trouble when we get grabby and we have a set way that we think things have to look. So you've probably heard this story about how monkeys get caught, how trappers capture monkeys. They get these cages with these kind of bars that are close together, and they put a banana inside, and the monkeys will go in and grab the banana, and then when they have it, they won't let it go, but they can't get the banana out. And I think people are like this a lot too. And it gets us stuck. And in this case, it keeps monkeys stuck and get captured. So what we don't want to do is get so attached to what things have to look like from our limited human perspective. We don't want to get too caught up and attached to our past. We don't want to not be willing to surrender the things that have happened to us, because then we are stuck. We can't get free. So we have to let go of what we think things need to look like. We have to let go of our past hurts and heartbreaks so that we can get free and so that we can back up, relax, open our hearts, and start to manifest what it is that God has for us. And I promise you, what God has for you is so much bigger and better and brighter, more beautiful than what you can even imagine for yourself in your wildest dreams and imaginings. Hey, Tonda Balashevsky Mason, how are you, sweetie? I'm happy to see you here. You're not taking a nap, huh? So another thing is we can't manifest more than we can hold for. And what this means is we need to open our hearts. We need to open our hearts wider and wider and wider. That's our container to be able to receive. Something I like to do when I would like sit with my ideal scenes is, hello, Tonda. Hello, Tammy Balashevsky Peel. I like that peel. That's so funny. I'm not a peel, I have a peel. So something I would do when I would create my ideal scenes back in the day is get into the feeling state of having what it is that I thought that I wanted. So I would do an ideal scene, say around my husband before I manifested him, and get into the feeling state of what this might be like. So I could experiment, explore visualize, imagine, and kind of pretend, try it on in my inner reality, and really get specific and clear about how this feels. And it was different than the relationships I'd had in the past. It was relaxing into this really wonderful friendship, this safe, loving, supportive kind of friendship, which I hadn't had in romantic partnerships before. And I did this in regards to manifesting friends up here in Idaho as well. When I moved here, I didn't have a lot of friends. So I thought, well, I'm going to try this experiment again with an ideal scene with friendship, and wrote down what I wanted, all the qualities and characteristics of these wonderful, authentic, beautiful, supportive, loving friends. And then again, at the bottom, this or something better for the highest good of all concerned, or thy will be done. And then what does it feel like? What does it feel like to be in this beautiful group of incredible women that are kind and talented and supportive and empowered, and there's no competition, there's no jealousy. It's a lovely relationship, lovely relationships, lovely connections, and just energetic dancing with one another. So I got into that feeling state, and today I am living those types of friendships and connections and relationships. So it's really supported me in manifesting the husband of my dreams, beyond my dreams, and my friendships. I also have used this in other areas. So I thought that I wanted to have this career, right? And so I would get into the feeling state of what this would be like. It was a sense of connection and freedom and peace and joy. And I would sit in that state a lot. And my life is incredibly free and wonderfully celebratory and incredibly creative and joy-based, but it doesn't look like I thought it was going to at all. Some of what is happening in my life was not on my radar at all. And I don't think I could have manifested this joyful life had I stayed attached to what I thought my life had to look like. And sometimes that's it. We have to surrender our past. We have to surrender our personal goals and desires and personal intentions to really step back, settle, open our hearts, and receive what God has for us. And it's not easy. It takes courage. It takes the ability to surrender. It takes the quality of faith and trust. And not everybody's willing to do that. I've had people say to me, well, what if God wants me to be a banker or an accountant? I don't want to be a banker or an accountant. And I don't think he's going to have you do something like that. I think he's going to save those jobs for the people that want them and for the people that love numbers or whatever. If your talent and ability is music, I don't think God's going to take you in a radically different direction than where your gifts and talents lie, where your purpose lies. So I guess it really just comes down to relaxing into that space of knowing that we're loved, knowing that we are supported and that we are adored, opening our minds and hearts to the possibility that we deserve beautiful things, beautiful blessings, wonderful relationships, and immense prosperity. We all do. But if we're so often grabbing for what we think we want or need to be happy, we're not in a receptive posture. We're not in a peaceful, relaxed, open, aligned state. We're feeling grabby and greedy and fear-based rather than relaxed, peaceful, open, receptive, and grace-filled state, if that makes sense. Tanda, some of the times in my life that were really painful and I couldn't see how it was for my highest good in hindsight, I know they were. And that was for sure the truth for me. We've seen each other go through a lot of challenges. You know, when that relationship of mine disintegrated and diminished, I thought this is the worst thing that could ever happen. I really felt like this is hell on earth. And it felt like it. It legitimately did. And I know you've had some of those experiences yourself, Tana. I'm sure all of you watching this have had those experiences. But if you can look back in retrospect, thank goodness it happened the way that it did. I couldn't have the life God dreamed for me had I stayed attached to the one that I thought that I wanted. I had to get out of my mind and lose my mind a little bit and crack open my heart. And sometimes that takes crying. It takes processing past hurts. It takes clearing any guilt or shame. It takes forgiveness of other people and forgiveness of ourselves. That really creates the space to be able to receive goodness and grace. Because if we're really bogged down and hurting, it's sort of like we are tight, we are constricted. There's no space for us to receive. It's sort of like even if blessings do come to us, it's going to be just rolling off of us. There's not a container to be able to hold for it. So to be able to really process and clear our hurts, guilt, unworthiness, shame, to cry maybe old tears, that can start to crack our hearts open and make the space in our lives to be able to receive more goodness and grace and blessings and the gifts that the universe wants to bestow on us. And I really do believe, and it's incredible building blocks for what's to come. You know, I'm going to talk about this over the course of the next few weeks, why we incarnate, why are we here? And one of the reasons is to clear our karma. And I'm going to go into more detail about that next week. The second reason is to learn the lessons of love. The third reason is to share gifts. And the fourth reason is to have a great time. But it's hard to just go to have a great time if we haven't done some of the work with the first three steps. So I'm going to talk more about that, how we can do that, and getting to that place of experiencing more joy and grace and ease. Hello, Vivica. How are you? Long time no see. So I know you're dancing in your life. You enjoy your life, don't you? So so to be able to surrender our past hurts, to be able to surrender our attachments, to be able to really pull back our energy, ground ourselves, open our hearts to receive the blessings and bounty that the universe has for us, and just really sit in that place of knowing we're loved, knowing we're worthy, and also to be able to really receive the gifts graciously. It's sort of like, I think we come to planet Earth to be surprised, to really be surprised. And a lot of people have a fear of that, but they want to be in control. They want to know what's happening, but that's not why we're here. We're here to, it can be like Christmas every day. And, you know, when you're a little kid, you don't necessarily, or maybe you think you want to know what you're getting, but it's really awesome when we get gifts that are even more and better and different than what we thought we wanted. And then the joy of that, the surprise and the celebration of that. And just like I think parents like to give their children gifts that the children want to receive, I think God wants to gift us things that that will bring us great joy. And some of these things we know we want, and some of these things we don't even know that we want. Can't wait to come back to Boise, huh? Yeah, Boise's a great place. I have known so many people that have left here and that have boomeranged back. And that's another thing that God surprised me with. I did not expect to ever leave LA. I had absolutely no intention or desire to live any other place than Southern California. And it's that saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And I think he had a good chuckle, or many, on my behalf. And so I surrendered all of the things that I thought I wanted and was ushered a very, very different direction. But I'm really experiencing more joy and celebration, peace, and connection and love than I ever dreamed possible. And I think this is available to every single one of us. But again, it does take the qualities of courage and surrender and forgiving others, forgiving ourselves, really clearing any sense of unworthiness or guilt or shame, just accepting that we have value. And sometimes that has to start as an intellectual notion before it can really feel authentic. So we have to get into the, sometimes into the imagination and the mind. What could that feel like? Think about that. What would it feel like to be so important and valuable to God? What could it possibly feel like to be so adored by another? To know that you're an absolute blessing and gift and priority. Did you have that experience at all as a child where somebody's just looking at you with complete adoration? My grandmother used to look at my sisters and me with that look of love. And it was a pretty great feeling. And I imagine now God looking at me like that as well. And sometimes we have to get into that imagination and feeling state inwardly before we can manifest it outwardly. So I hope there's a few things here that you can play with, experiment with, consider, so that you can really relax, settle into your heart, and open to receive blessings that maybe you want, and maybe some that aren't even on your radar. Horses were not on my radar. I mean, as a child, I thought they were amazing, but it was sort of like I just followed the breadcrumbs. And that's what it takes. Jerry and Grammy, yeah, those were our touchstones of unconditional love. And I think if we can open our mind to the possibility that that's how God perceives us, I think so often we project the negative things that we've experienced as a child onto God in our relationship with the universe. Where if we can really consider what were the really good, positive, wonderful things that you experienced as a child, either through other people or just things that you did that brought you great joy and opened your heart, and just imagine those qualities being the ones that God has and wants to bestow on you, and expand on what's really good and right and positive and love-based, rather than what's negative, bad, wrong, and fear-based. But again, we tend to do that because it's part of how we clear up our karma. And again, I will talk more about that in the coming weeks. So I'd be interested in hearing from you. Are you living the life of your dreams? Is it different or better or worse? And again, sometimes we have to go through those challenging times to use them as building blocks for our future, to be able to refine and course correct. And I've said this before, I got what I thought I wanted, and it didn't feel anything like I thought it was going to. So I was like, okay, if it's not that, what is it? And so I quit trying to rely on my own understanding and started to ask Spirit, okay, if it's not what I thought I wanted, what do you want from me? And I think that's a powerful prayer. God, what do you want for me? What do you want from me? And again, you can claim what you want, but this or something better for the highest good of all concerned, and thy will be done. People will say, Tammy, how did you make this happen? Or why do you have this blessed life? And I said, it's because I consistently invite God to the party. And where I get in trouble is where I forget to invite God to the party. And I think that's just another way of saying, thy will be done. So I don't know if you're doing that. I'd be interested to hear if you are. And if you're not, maybe experiment with that and see what happens. I start every single day saying, okay, God, I'm inviting you into this day. I'm surrendering to you, and just direct me on the path you would have me walk for my highest good and the highest good of all concerned. Thy will be done. And if that's too scary, you can say, may thy will and my will be one. I found that to be more palatable when I first started with this experimenting process. So I hope you are settled into that space of great love within, knowing that you are indeed valuable and important and exquisite and amazing from the perspective of the divine and the angels. And I hope you're seeing God winks and experiencing grace and opening your heart wider and wider to receive the gifts and the bounty and the blessings, and to perceive the breadcrumbs that God is laying out before you to go on the path that he would have you walk for your highest good, for your greatest joy. I think God has a great time watching us and has a great time with us and living through us. And the more I've cleared the space for him to live through me and with me in my life, the better and better and better it gets. The other day I was saying, God, my life is amazing. How could it possibly be better than this? How could it get better? But we put a lid on our pot when we do that. We don't want to do that. We want to take it off and continue to be able to open it and expand and receive. And what I heard was, it is infinite. The love, the goodness, the grace, and the blessings, it's infinite. So I just took another deep breath and I'm like, okay, let's go to the next level. Let's continue to expand, to be able to receive. I think that's the most important thing we can do. So I hope you were in that receptive position and seeing God winks and experiencing grace. And if there's anything I can do to support you, you can send me some private messages or email me at tammybphd@gmail.com with any kinds of questions, or if you need a guided meditation to support you moving more from your head to your heart. It would be my honor and pleasure and privilege to help you. And I want you to know you're my heart and my meditations and my prayers. And I'm so blessed by your presence in my life. And just take good, gentle, loving care of yourself. And yeah, open your heart a little wider to receive a little more goodness. And say the words, "Thy will be done," or "for the highest good of all concerned," or "I'm inviting you to the party, God." And just watch how your life may shift, and look for the breadcrumbs that God is revealing to you so that you can manifest the life beyond your wildest dreams. I love you, and I want the best for you. And again, you're on my heart and prayers. Onward and upward. Take good care. Bye for now.